Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Ruby Summer Rose Court. To recap where we left off last time, we successfully completed Pyrrha Nikos' loyalty mission, where we convinced her to stay on our Summer Rose Court and to not return to being a temple priestess for her people of Spiritus Bellatorum. And it was a very short and sweet episode, but we did get some really nice parts where we kind of covered over Pyrrha's PTSD and, her place among her people, whether she should be a warrior or a priestess, and it was really good character development. But anyways, let's dive right back into the story. A steady stream of activity consumes my every waking moment in the weeks that follow. Not only do I have to prepare for the visiting Kata Faunus and fight off the Grim, okay, so we're getting closer to the ball, that's really cool, but I have to keep practicing for a stupid dance too. This is such a huge waste of my time. We are still recovering from that poisonous Grim, the one that infected Weiss, and that was trying to infect the land itself. Thankfully, with its death, reports of Grim sickness have dropped down to 0. That's great. I walk to the throne room with several bolts of fabric in my arms. Glinda wants to make sure they look good against my skin before she commissions the dress. This is starting to feel like I'm her show pony. That she knows and cares about royal fashion is the weirdest part of this. Grumbling, I am so distracted by my own thoughts that I trip over my own 2 feet. A bolt of fabric goes flying from my hands, unraveling all the way down another hallway. Perfect. What's wrong with wearing my armor anyhow? All the knights off the land are wearing their armor. I follow it, hoisting the fabric up into my arms and wondering if I couldn't order someone else to do this for me when I hear a sudden noise. Crescent? I pause, standing still, waiting to hear it again. It was like a voice, the way my spirit used to hover in my skull before she fully awakened. On alert, I look around me, bristling with anxiety, until... I see a familiar pair of boots poking out from behind one of the tapestries. Oh, Nora. Biting back a laugh, I walk over to her and yank the tapestry aside. You found me again, Ren! Nora lunges out as soon as I do, grabbing me in a big hug. Then, blinking a few times, Nora quirks her head to the side. Wait, you're not Ren. Ruby, quit pretending to be Ren. I'm not pretending to be Ren? That's the spirit. So they're playing hide and seek in the hallways, that's really cute. I roll my eyes. Seeing the mess on the floor, Nora quickly gets down on her hands and knees and rolls up the bolt of fabric into a nice neat bundle for me. We're probably heading into their loyalty mission now, right before the Kata Faunus Ball. Making a mess, huh? Not on purpose. What about you? What are you doing here? Playing hide and seek, obviously. That makes me huff in disbelief. Hide and seek in a castle this big? How long were you planning to hide? A week. She says it completely straight-faced. Then her eyes light up, a grin overstaking her face as she waves behind me. Found you, Nora. Oh no! She says with a huge grin, and Ren runs over to hug her. This has been the easiest round so far. Only because Ruby was with me. Sorry. If you're really sorry... Nora turns a sharp grin on me, clearly plotting. You'll play with us for a round, and hide with Ren. Heck yes. What? If Glinda has something actually important for me to do, then I'll gladly do it. But I'm not standing still for an hour so she can wrap me in measuring tape. Let's go. Oh man. Since it's Ren's turn to hide, we split up and run further into the castle, winding up in the gardens. Isn't this against the rules? We have to hide in the castle. It's still castle grounds. Yeah, but if I'm outside in the sun in this armor, I'll melt. Do you have a better idea, Your Majesty? As a matter of fact, I do. Gesturing for him to follow, I lead Ren up to my room. Oh boy. This is the first place she'll look. No way, it's hiding in plain sight. She'll never guess. The armoire is big enough for both of us if we squeeze in, I promise. I place full responsibility for this on you. Deal. Oh god, climbing into a closet with a boy, what could happen? We both climb in and shut the door, giggling quietly. As promised, the space is roomy enough for both of us to crouch down, waiting in the darkness to be found. I haven't done this since I was a little kid. Me neither. How long do we wait, though? Good question. It might be more fun if we got others involved. Maybe. Nora and I are so deeply connected by our spirits that sometimes we forget how to be around other people. A little cramp starts forming in my leg. Shifting uncomfortably, I stand up straighter to try and flex it out, but bump my head against one of the empty hangers. Ow! You good? Twitching my head to the side, I whine. Yes. I tug and twist some more. Yes, fine. Totally fine. You don't sound okay. That's because I tangled up a huge chunk of my hair in something metal and pinchy and I'm dying, but it's okay. I gingerly feel along my own head, trying to find out what's got my hair tangled up. A cautious tug only elicits a hiss of pain. This is it. I'll be stuck in here forever. Or I'll have to cut my hair even shorter and Glinda will yell at me. Allow me. Oh boy, he's gonna reach over. For a moment nothing happens, then a soft pink light slowly fills the enclosed space. It looks like he holds up a lotus in his palm. A gentle warm breeze emanates from him, reminding me of the powerful winds I could summon with Crescent. There you go. Hold still for a moment. Ren delicately plucks my hair free before stroking it out of my face. See? No need to panic. So, since when could you do that? I nod to the shimmering light in his palm. Ren just grins. Wouldn't you like to know? It's super pretty. I wish Crescent let me do pretty things instead of just tearing up the place. Can I take a closer look? Of course. Ren holds it up to my eye level. Mesmerized, I forget myself and reach out to touch it. Then the doors swing open. Nora stands triumphantly outside with her hands braced on the wooden frame. Aha! I caught you! Startled, I dart my hand away from Ren's, and he takes a step back from me. It's an instinctive move. Though I know we weren't doing anything wrong, I can't help but feel a sharp sense of guilt, like I shouldn't be this close to him. Oh, hey! Ren was just, my hair got caught and this definitely isn't what it looks like, is what I'm trying to say. Nora is always good at reading me, and I expect an endless barrage of teasing for the rest of the day. What I don't expect is for her to falter, wounded, her eyes flickering between Ren and me. Well. She recovers in an instant, grinning at us, but her smile feels a little thin. Is it my turn next, Ren? For some reason, that sounded a lot more loaded than it ought to. I don't know. What do you think? Oh, so you care what I think now? Oh, jeez. I always have. Then why are you keeping secrets? Nora. Ren glances over to me, fidgeting with his collar. We shouldn't do this in front of Ruby. Why not? She has to learn eventually. Or were you just going to run off and not even tell her? Now it feels like they're really arguing about something else entirely, and I was just a trigger for it. I'm so sick of this conversation. That makes two of us. Ren leaves, marching out of the room. Nora follows. Just when I think she's about to chase him down, she marches off in the opposite direction, far from him. What the heck just happened there? I'm torn, wondering who I should follow, if I should follow either of them at all. That's when Glinda shows up, murder in her eyes and measuring tape in her hands. Your Majesty? When she uses my title like that, she manages to make it sound like a threat. I freeze, smiling in a panic. Oh. Hey, Glinda. There we go with that face again. How you doing? How you doing? God, come with me right now. Poke the bear? What does this mean? I decide to stand my ground. You know I'm the queen, right? You can't intimidate me. In fact, I order you to leave me be. I stand back, arms crossed and nodding decisively. And I know I've made a mistake because Glinda doesn't get mad. Instead, her eyes flash with genuine bloodthirsty glee. Oh, really? She grins. How are you going to enforce your will then? Shall it be trial by combat? She flicks her wand out, the leather warm under my chin, as she tilts my head back. Purple lightning flickers around her, the air crackling with pure magical energy. Okay, this was a mistake. Backtrack. Oh, okay. I slap the wand aside, turning red. I'll go try on the stupid dresses. A wise decision. Let's be off. I'm left exhausted from Glinda fussing over me for so long. It lasts well into the week after each of my lessons. She was so intense for something that didn't involve a potential life or death situation. Worst of all, she keeps grilling me for who will be my dance partner. I don't know yet, okay? I've spoken to everyone who might be amenable to the idea, but... bleh, I can't think about that right now. Especially when two of my friends are fighting over something they won't share with me. Trying to settle in for a recovery nap doesn't work either. Maybe a walk will help with the jitters. So my feet start to wander, taking me inexorably towards the underground lab. Passing what's supposed to be an unused corridor, I'm caught off guard by two familiar voices. How could you say that? I stop dead in my tracks. For a moment I wonder if Nora's jokingly exaggerating about something, but I can hear her voice cracking from emotion. Please don't yell. I'm trying to make this as easy as possible. This shouldn't be easy. We shouldn't even be having this conversation. And I'm not going to let you make a stupid boneheaded decision because of your... It's my choice. What part of that is too hard for you to grasp? So you just don't care about me at all. Nice to hear you admit it out loud. Concern flares in me. At first I think maybe they're in another heated debate, but this sounds more serious than their usual lighthearted bickering. It's not like these two to fight. Moving closer, I do my best to defuse the situation. Nora? Ren? I come across them face to face, bristling with anger. At the sound of my voice, they flinch away from each other, both of them looking embarrassed. Okay, so... when Nora said that Ren was keeping secrets, maybe she knows something and she's upset that Ren isn't being transparent with us? Is everything okay here? Just peachy. It sounded a little sour than a peach from what I heard. Ren has a stiff set to his shoulders, then he rubs the back of his neck like he's trying to ease out a cramp. We probably shouldn't keep this from her. That's what I said before, and you didn't agree with me. But I'm agreeing with you now. Am I not allowed to change my mind? You... She starts stammering in anger, too flustered to speak. Then she blurts it out, eyes flickering to me. We found out how to separate a spirit from a person. From the work done while saving Penny, I'm optimistic that it will be a fairly safe procedure. Wait, back up. We can do that? We don't know. But it's worth a try. If I remove Magenhild's influence from me, it could end the whole conflict between our spirits. It's a chance to solidify Lanzahua's connection to me, as my mother's heir. I could finally see her again. I wouldn't be in pain from two spirits arguing over me. Nora butts in. Or you might die. He's conveniently leaving that out, that he wants to die. That's not true, and you know it. Do I? Most people, when they don't want to die, they try to avoid death-probable risks. So every time you do something risky, I'm allowed to yell at you? You do yell at me every time I do something risky. Why do you think I do that? I don't know. Why do you think I'm yelling at you right now? Is it so hard to understand that I feel the same way? Oh jeez. How did you end up with Lanzahua and Magenhild anyway? Nora grimaces. It's my fault. Remember when I said I only had a piece of Magenhild? I nod. I was supposed to have more. But I gave it to Ren to save his life. It was easy because Magenhild is already so splintered. Listen, Ren was sick. Really sick. My spirit is the only thing that's kept him going for this long. And if he takes away Magenhild... Nora looks to Ren, her anger melting away in concern. He doesn't escape Ren's attention, and he reaches out to comfort her, one hand on the back of her neck. Lanzahua is taking bolder steps to try and reclaim me. It's tearing me apart. Do you understand? Something has to give. And it won't be the spirits. There's got to be something I can do. But nothing comes to mind, and as I stand there in silence, stewing over my own thoughts, Ren quietly comes to a decision. I need to choose one. Remove the spirit, or leave it be, but... Leave it be, obviously. We've been together for too long for me to let you die. Well, I never asked you to save my life. Nora's mouth clamps shut, her face growing pale. Ren sighs as he settles back down. I am my mother's heir. If something happens to her, Lanzahua will try to take me. So... He looks to me and my stomach drops. Ren, don't do it. We're never going to find an agreement over this, Nora. She's turned away from him, wiping at her eyes. You're right, we won't. I don't think you should choose this, and I'm never changing my mind. So we'll have Ruby make the decision for me. Since you respect her opinion over mine. Oh my god. It's not fair to drag Ruby into this. Yes, please don't drag Ruby into this, is what I'd like to say. Instead, I step between them, subtly forcing them further apart. I won't make this decision lightly. Give me some time, and both of you, take a break. The two of them glare at each other. Caught as I am in the middle, I can't help but squirm. Then they both try to storm out at the same time, through the cramped stairway. Ugh, this is a mess. What do I do? I don't sleep easy that night, my mind too occupied by the argument. I try to coax some answers out of Crescent Rose, but the spirit ignores me. I feel a surge of frustration and anger that isn't entirely my own. Crescent doesn't like me asking about how to separate from spirits, it seems. It's not until afternoon the next day that Glinda finally gives me space to breathe. I bring the subject up with the closest members of my council. They all spread out in the library, listening to me rant and ramble about my feelings. Yang and Weiss are a little half-minded about it, though. They're in the middle of a chess match, a friendly ritual they have for winding down in the evenings. Except tonight, Weiss is far from relaxed. How are you winning? Yang cracks her knuckles, stretching her long forearms out in front of her with a wink. The movement is casual, but meant to emphasize every single hard-won muscle. You don't look this good without winning a few chess matches. That doesn't make any sense. Yang snickers as Weiss pulls out a handkerchief from her belt and leans over the chess table, whacking her with it. That doesn't make any sense at all. I hate you. In any case. Sitting on the table edge beside me, Blake shuts her book with a huff. She closes her eyes and flattens her cat ears as she tries to tune out the extra noise. Ren's power is of no use to us if he lacks the mental fortitude to withstand the stress of wielding it. Weiss agrees with her, humming in thought before she makes her next move on the chessboard. His primary role here is to serve as the ambassador to Heping. He can do that with or without the spirit. Unless it really is keeping him alive. Speaking from experience, Mertenaster? Check. The Knight Commander clears her throat, but she doesn't say anything at all, just moves her pieces. She brings up a good point, Weiss. Don't you think we ought to talk about, how you survived the poisoning? Check again. Weiss swears in a language I don't recognize, but Blake catches it with a grin. I mean, like, you and Ren seem to have similar circumstances. Do you have any link to Mertenaster through your sister? Glinda said something was inside you, preventing her from using her healing magic. Was that it, you think? Blake gives up on her book and returns it back on the shelf where it belongs. Her tail lazily swishes as she begins to pace, musing out loud. Don't pressure her, Ruby. We don't always have physical wounds to point to when we feel we need a crutch. Weiss still says nothing about the spirit I can sometimes sense within her. She sits back in her chair with a scowl, glaring at the chessboard. Cat got your tongue, Knight Commander? Weiss stiffens up, looking directly at me. In a moment I realize she must have heard Crescent too. Don't bother with this one, Ruby. Mertenaster is mute as a swan. Once again, thank you for being frustrating, vague, and unhelpful. I live to serve. When I return back to the world around me, I see Blake frowning in distress. Oh, not you, Blake. I was talking to Crescent. Oh, well, it was a fair assumption to make, regardless. Yang speaks up, crowing in victory. Check and mate. Don't get used to it, Sand Gnat. You're a sore loser. Yang plucks Weiss's queen from the board, twirling it between her fingers. She glances over at me, frowning now as she returns to the conversation at hand. None of us know anything about the spirits at this point, except that they're powerful and they need to link to people in order to function. They can hop from person to person, but their power grows if it's passed down through a bloodline. I feel like no matter what you do, there's a risk, and we're... She glances at Weiss. Well, 2 of us here have no idea what it feels like at all, and one of us has her lips sewn shut. We're the wrong people to talk to about this. I hate that she's right. I need to speak with Ren and Nora. I doubt I got the full picture from yesterday's argument. But as the days roll by, I find myself avoiding them entirely. Who do I talk to first? Oh no, I wonder if this is like a big decision, or if it's just simply, who do you want to talk to first? I don't know, I mean, Magenhild comes from Nora, and she has a lot of innate knowledge about the situation. But I feel like so does Ren, because he needs Lancelot to stop fighting, the part of Magenhild inside him. This is really tough. Maybe... Maybe we speak to Ren. After asking around, I head towards the gardens. Ren's there, sitting on one of the benches. Several books are piled up around him, but his eyes are just blankly staring through them. Hey, Ren. Busy? Ren blinks in surprise, then turns to look at me, clearly caught off guard. Ah, Not really. He glances down at the book open in his hands before closing it and setting it aside with the rest. I glance at the titles along their spines. There are history books, medical texts, and even some books on legends and fairy tales. Catching up on some reading. He frowns, avoiding my eyes. I wanted to see if there were any books that might hold clues as to the nature of the spirits. But I've already read everything, so I started to branch out. There's nothing that we don't already know. He looks away. Then he blurts out, "You must think the worst of me." What? Why? Because I'm being selfish. If I were stronger, I could manage this. If I were more like you. He trails off helplessly. Ren, you're already as strong as you need to be. You've supported me so much. I mean, I'm flattered, but half the time I'm flailing around without a clue, you know? That's just with one spirit. I can only imagine how much it hurts to have two spirits fight over you. It's not much fun. But it saved my life, and it's a special connection I have to Nora, and I understand why she doesn't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that either. But Nora, she hasn't spoken to me since that argument, and I don't blame her. I've been so unfair to her. I can't take it anymore, Ruby. I can't live like this. But I don't know what the right thing to do is. I don't know either. But unfortunately, I know the final choice still rests with me. Whether I feel confident in my decision or not, I have to be the one to make it, and soon. Alright, now we have to speak to Nora. A quick word with the castle guard points me in the right direction to find Nora, but even if they hadn't, she'd be hard to miss. I can see her bright orange head patrolling the walls every day. As I climb the steps up to the ramparts, I hear staggered breaths, sniffling as she tries to keep quiet. Steeling myself, I force my feet up those last few steps. Hey. Startled, Nora stands up straighter and starts furiously wiping at her eyes. Red Queen, you shouldn't sneak up on a girl like that. Mind if I join you? She makes a grumbling, unintelligible noise, halfway between argument and agreement, so I start walking, going along the normal patrol route, and she follows it out of habit. Not sure the Queen should be bothering with busy work like this. Don't play dumb, Nora. I'm here because I'm worried about you. She has the side of the walkway closest to the outside. She keeps her gaze trained there, but every so often she dares a peek at me. Her eyes are bloodshot. It makes me wonder how long she'd been crying, if anyone had come to check on her at all. Have you made your decision? No, it's been hard. This can't have been easy on you either. I know how much Ren means to you. Nora swallows a lump in her throat. I love him. The admission makes my heart skip a beat. Not that we all didn't already know, but... Nora starts to dissolve again, pausing to cover her face with one hand. But I yelled at him, even though I know how hard this is for him too. How can I say I love him when I'm fighting with him like this? Oh boy. Rubbing the back of my neck, I try and reach for the right words to say. Welcome to the rest of us, Nora. People fight sometimes, even people who love each other. Even those of us without special spirit connections. What matters is that you both work together to resolve this. She laughs, a little bitterly. We can't though, not about this. I can't be the one to agree to this. I can't live with the decision I might make. If I'm right, and I let him do this, knowing what might happen... She sucks in a huge breath. Please, Ruby, I'm sorry. I know how selfish this is. But it has to be you. Please, help me. I promise I'll be okay with it, whatever it is. As long as it's what you decide. She turns towards me, twitching forward like she's about to grasp me tight in a hug, but then she turns away. So then, it's all up to me. I take it up with my court, and after deliberation, we decide. Oh boy. The big decision. We either remove Magenhild, or we leave it inside him. You know, I really don't know the answer to this. So from Ren's point of view, removing Magenhild will make his life easier and also to see his mother again. And so that is his primary concern. But then on Nora's point of view, which is don't do this, I forbid it, she wants to keep Magenhild inside him because if it's removed, there is a possibility that he might die. Now, if we were to think about this in the grand scheme of things, would removing Magenhild make Ren stronger? Would that make him a stronger ally to us? If he were to function clearly without such inner turmoil with two spirits fighting over him? You know? I don't know what to do. This is really tough. I've listened to both sides and I still don't really have a clear idea of what to do. Now, if we are to remove Magenhild, because that spirit is so fractured, would that mean that the piece removed from Ren would go back to Nora? You know, if her power remains splintered and Ren is being torn apart by two rival spirits, then I think the right choice is to remove Magenhild from Ren so that he has more power and dominance over his own spirit, and that a fractured piece of Magenhild can return to Nora, and maybe that regained power can help her scope out the remaining pieces of her spirit. And so maybe there is a chance that he might die, but if successful, it'll help out all three of our spirits. With Crescent Rose having two powerful spirits on her side, with Nora having Magenhild, and possibly being strong enough to find out the rest of the fractured pieces, and then Ren having more control over Lanzahua. So, this is a tough choice, but I think we have to remove Magenhild, and I really hope this is the right choice. Ren's relief is palpable. He almost staggers from the weight of it, one hand on his chest as he finally breathes easy. Oh, Ruby, thank you. I wasn't sure you would. If you really believe this won't harm you, then I'll allow you the one attempt. I look over to Nora, who is pale as a sheet, but other than that, she remains as neutral as she can. What? She scoffs, putting her fists on her hips. If you're the one making the decision, Red Queen, then I accept it, obviously. She keeps up the brave face, grinning confidently at Ren. Whatever happens, I'm there for you, okay? She extends one hand. He doesn't accept it at first. I know how it must seem, like I'm giving up. I'm sorry, It's clearly a struggle for Nora, but she just stubbornly reaches down, taking his hand and squeezing it. She doesn't let him get any further in his apology. Magenhild was never your burden to bear. I'll speak to the others about preparing for the procedure then. I'll be by your side the whole time. We all will. As time has gone by, Penny's patchwork memories have started to stitch together into something more whole. I find her busy at work in her lab, a table full of open textbooks before her. So you've been conspiring with Ren behind my back, I see. Not at all. I've been conspiring with Oobleck. I cast a worried glance over the copper wiring and metal tubes. It looks like a pit of madness in here, and I'm not sure I believe it's as safe as they claim. Don't worry. It can't be used to rip Crescent from you without your consent. Ren is uniquely determined. I continue staring at the equipment with worry. I'd kill her before I let her take me from you. Easy, girl. You heard her. It needs my permission. Crescent huffs. According to Sir Schnee's notes and Penny's research, it shouldn't be too different than when you woke Penny up. In this case, we'll be putting me to sleep. That sounds perfectly reasonable and not at all worrying. Penny keeps her distance. It's a far cry from what I've come to know of her, but right now she doesn't seem to have any time for me and my fretting. She focuses intently on her work, the soft hum of her body whirring a little louder than usual. We'll need a lot of energy for this, an explosive amount. Probably Nora can provide that. She mutters to herself, turning around only to walk past me and draw a sweeping line of math and jargon on a nearby chalkboard. Okay, I guess we can chat later. Thankfully, Miss Valkyrie here holds the key we need. There we go. Turning to her, I tilt my head and nod for her to explain. Well? She extends both hands palm up. Nothing happens at first, but then blue chained lightning crackles up the length of her forearms. There were wind and lightning farms on Skuta Bresta, but I never thought I'd be a power source myself. How do you farm lightning? Oh, Ruby, I always forget how backwards you Veil people are. That's really funny, coming from a civilization clearly modeled after barbarians and like Norse peoples. It's really funny. It's not that hard. I'll teach you how. But we've got this thing to do first. I watch over the proceedings with increasing worry as Oobleck and Ren start moving heavy machinery around. Ozpin and Glinda show up as well to watch. She has her wand out and twirls it idly as her eyes trace over every inch of the room. It's the only sign of nerves she shows. Is there anything I can do to help? I also offer my assistance. As she passes me with her arms filled with cables, I see Penny roll her eyes slightly. Yeah, where was this help when Penny was the one getting experimented on? I think you could help us best if you give Oobleck and Ren space to work with. Yes, please. Lady Goodwitch is boring holes into my skull. Fine, we'll take our leave. This place still has a dampening effect on my magic, in any case. I wouldn't be much help if anything went wrong. Nor I, but unfortunately I still have some of my mechanical expertise to fall back on. Weiss sighs, patting Penny on the shoulders once before they continue to set up. It all looks well practiced, like they've been planning this for a long time. After a bit of questioning, it looks like they have. I thought you knew. We've been researching everything we can on the Grim and the Spirits. They have more in common than we first assumed. Blake looks me up and down, and I swear I feel Crescent bristle in aggression at the examination. We've been studying the corruption of the land, trying to remove the Grim influence from infected crops and soil. So what were supposed to be anti-Grim measures soon became anti-spirit measures. Of course, it's all theoretical. From further in the lab, Oobleck starts to bellow so that we can hear him. No, 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 it's all brilliant, my dear. Don't downplay your accomplishments, you're one of the brightest minds in this age. Blake clears her throat, not responding, but I can see the tips of her ears turning a little red. I really need to stay more on top of what my scientific types are doing. Once all the preparations are ready, Nora steps up to the table where Ren is lying flat on his back. Oobleck sets her hand on a palm-sized metal ball linked to a steel cable. The Nora battery is fully operational. Oobleck, are we really sure she'll be... I mean, Nora is just one person. I don't want to. Nora leans over him, a dangerous look in her eyes. Are you saying I'm not tough enough to power this doohickey on my own? I'm saying I don't want to drain you. Huh. I'd like to see the machine these Veil folks could build that would tire me out. I shake my head, speaking up to reassure Ren. I'll be here. I can be a backup in case she starts to flag. I might not be exactly the same, but it runs on the same principle, I'm sure. Okay, are we ready? As ready as I'll ever. Okay, nice, let's go! In a blast of power, the whole room fills with electric blue light. I throw one hand up over my eyes. Thrown a few steps back as though pushed by a great wind, I gasp up at the sight before me. A dragon forms out of that pure light, joints clinking and clattering like 1,000 wooden scales, like the design on an ancient Skuta Bresta warship. Magenhild! Not so shattered after all, I see. The dragon, the spirit, noses around the room, many legs shifting idly through the air like swimming through water. Oh, we're getting some electric guitar here. That's new. My attention is finally torn away from the awe-inspiring sight. Ren is curled up into a ball on the table, pale and bloodless. The veins on his neck stand out in sharp relief, bulging as he grits his teeth in pain. Ren? Ren! I instinctively move to put a hand on him, but Oobleck sharply drags me away. No, don't interfere. We can't predict how this might interact with your own spirit, Ruby. Unless you want to risk severing yourself from me. For an instant, it actually seems tempting. Then another blast of light rises up, hissing like spitting flames. The members of my court are all forced down to their knees. I just barely struggle up again, lifting my head. Everything in the room is casting another shadow, a second shape, almost like a human, but different. Above Nora, Magenhild is draped over her shoulders like a fur scarf. And glowering above Ren, I see a woman, her blade in hand and pointed at Nora. Another fierce wind knocks us all back, and in the distance I can hear shouting, an argument overheard from miles away. I know who they are the instant I see them, like old friends. Again, trying to overstep your boundaries. A furious crackle of lightning answers her as Magenhild shoots back a sharp reply. The spirits argue in words and action, striking at each other in a peak of fury. Every time they do, I see Ren below them, flinching. Every single time. Oh my god, I have to do something. Then another hand pulls me back. It's not human. Black, dragon-like talons from a hand covered in scales. They grip down, squeaking slightly on the metal of my armor, getting caught in the fabric of my cloak. It's best to let these two sort out their problems on their own. For the first time I hear it. Crescent's voice. Her real voice? If I turn around, will I see her? Is that something I'm meant to, that I even want to see? Let them squabble. This has been a long time coming. The hand on my shoulder retreats, running long claws through my hair once in a fond tousle. With a crack of lightning, the room goes dark, then one by one, the lamplights return. Ren and Nora are both on the floor, holding each other tight. I don't see any more otherworldly sights, and the electricity has faded to the occasional spark jumping from Nora's shoulders. Oobleck has been knocked back all the way to the stairs. He hesitantly moves forward now, his spectacles askew. Are you both unharmed? Ren coughs, nodding slowly. The other members of my court who joined us also stagger back to where they were. Goodness, what a rush! She combs her fingers through her hair. Each stroke is accompanied by a good dose of blue light. Maybe I shouldn't have been here. I almost shorted again. Right after I worked so hard to revive you. Don't worry, Sarshni. I feel fine. Blake's ears are standing on end too, and her fur is looking fluffier than usual no matter how much she tries to smooth it down. Great. When I approach Ren and Nora, I can already sense the difference. Nora looks up at me, and I'm taken aback by the feeling of kinship, of familiarity, the way we were connected. And when I look at Ren, I feel... Nothing. He rubs his eyes, shuddering faintly. It's all gone. Everything. Except a faint echo of my mother's power from far, far away. He looks clear-headed now. The dark circles around his eyes are gone. Oh, I feel tired. My friend swoons, collapsing into Nora's arms. A close eye is kept on Ren until he recovers. The first thing he does is take a walk outside, getting some fresh air. Nora walks beside him, their arms tightly linked. She rests her head on his arm, looking peaceful and calm the way only people in love do. Oh, this is so sweet! High above, we take a seat on one of the walls and talk over snacks. So your connection to Magenhild is completely severed? Ren nods, muttering with his mouth full. Then he takes a moment to chew and swallow. Yes, it's all returned to Nora. Which I gotta say, feels pretty great. Yay! While I am... well, what was it like before, for you, when your parents had Crescent? In retrospect, I always felt her, but it wasn't anything like what we have now. I unfold the draft for a letter on my lap, running my finger over it. And if you... I squint, trying to find the right passage. Damn, I should have brought a candle. I gotcha, Red Queen. Gently, she spins a ball of pure blue light into her hands. It floats over to me, warm, like a spring wind. Ever since Magenhild was returned to her, she seems a lot calmer, more in control. And Ren looks like he's lost a steel chain around his neck and can breathe free. Thank you. If you want to look over this letter for me, make sure I didn't leave anything out. What is there to leave out? I resign as council member. And act instead as advisor to Nora, who will take my place. It's not like anything is really changing. We're both here helping Ruby the way we're meant to be. Why send a letter about it? Because politics. But what if rebellion? By not sending a letter? Come on. If we're going to rebel against the establishment, it needs a few explosions. You're so right. So how are we going to rebel? Very carefully. I giggle, covering my grin with one hand. From the steps near us, I hear someone approaching. The hefty weight to each step announces who it is before she even speaks. Hello, friends. Is Ren feeling any better? Her arms are laden with baked goods and a large pitcher. I brought more beverages and consumables for you to enjoy. Aw, thanks, Penny. You can just say snacks. It doesn't feel the same. A warm presence appears next to me. Sitting at my side, Blake materializes from the shadows and takes a cookie from the basket we brought up. It's good to know you're up and about, Ren. You provided some pretty invaluable research with your sacrifice. It was hardly a sacrifice. He pours more tea for Blake. Nora crafts up another few lights so that we can all see clearly. It draws the attention of my other court members, who all start filtering in with the promise of Ren's homemade cookies. Picnic time! Soon I see a familiar tousled head pop up over the stairs. Is there a party going on? Why wasn't I invited? You're invited now. One by one, Nora releases more lights around us. They blink and twinkle like small stars, floating harmlessly in the night air. Alright, and that seems to be the end of Ren and Nora's loyalty mission. We successfully got the piece of Magenhild to return to Nora, and now Ren is no longer spirit touched by two spirits, and now he only has the one connection to Lanzihua, to his mother back in Heping. I'm very happy that we got this. I was really worried that one of those choices could lead to something really bad happening, such as Ren's death, or more fallout between the two members. And I'm glad that he's okay. And I think this was the first time that we had any characters say outright that they loved someone else. So, seeing Nora say, "I love him," in regards to Ren. That was really sweet. Renora, ever since they appeared back in Volume 1 of RWBY, have been a very great ship, and you know, they are well developed in the show, and I'm proud to say that they are well developed in this game as well. The writing for them is very good, and their designs are excellent, and I'm happy that they're still here with us. Anyways, as we are approaching the hour mark, this is an excellent point to take a break. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all on the next episode of RWBY Summer Rose Court. Until then.
Let us take it.